Hi everyone, good afternoon from Vienna. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. My name is Adela Mejjanic, and today I have a great pleasure to introduce you our wonderful and good friend of mine, Martina Ernst. Martina, welcome to the channel.
Hi Adela, it's a real pleasure to be with you. You are one of my inspiring role models, so I'm really thankful to be interviewed by you today.
Thank you.
Let's get started.
Yes, let's get started. Today with Martina, we have a really exciting topics that it's important for the viewers of the Making It in Austria channel, but in general for everyone who is thinking about career development, salary negotiation, and much more. So tell us, Martina, what are you doing? So what are the where are you now? Which projects you have? I know you're very busy, so give us a little overview.
Okay, so I founded two coaching and consulting companies, SalaryNegotiations.at and ColourfulCareer.com. And both companies have the goal to help you earn your worth and get the salary and career you deserve. So that's my claim. Earn your worth, you are worth it. And why have I founded these companies? Very simple. I was a managing director in the international service industry, as well as later on the supervisory board member of this company. And then I moved on to HR and was the head of HR of one of the largest banks in Austria. And in these functions, I had the wonderful task to design career systems, talent management systems, and compensation schemes. So I think I'm empowered to help people earn their worth and get the career they deserve. And
Thank
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
So we are getting today the behind the scenes insights through nuggets of wisdom. So let's get started with the first question, Martina. So where do people look for a job nowadays? So any recommendations?
Absolutely. In Austria, it's quite easy because Austrian market is structured. So you go to career.Ep.15 or any newspaper, they all advertise all the jobs, and even all the big companies, they advertise their jobs. When you look at Austria from abroad, still in your own home country, you probably look at jobs in Vienna, I think it's .net, .org, I don't remember, but you just jobs in Vienna, it's called. Or Metropole, these website, they really specialize on helping foreigners finding their jobs in Austria. And then what I always recommend is try to find a big corporation in your home country and be promoted to abroad from this company. It's very often when you come from like, let's say from India, then it's much easier to have this internal career move instead of coming to Austria and then having to get all the paperwork, because the paperwork is really a tedious process in Austria. Unfortunately, the country is not yet offering smooth services to help people as getting their red, white, red cards.
So now that we know where to look for a job, let's say we are invited for our very first interview. So what are the do's and don'ts of an interview process here in Austria?
Yeah, what is a don't? Don't send tons of applications looking one the same as the other. This is a real no-go. Why? Because you have to be very specific for each application. Make sure that you offer the benefits they are looking for. So you need to think of what is my USP for this company? How can I create added value for this specific company? It's the first thing. The second is I always recommend to try to get in contact with these companies before you send your application. So whenever there is a name and you have the chance to call, then think about an intelligent question and call. Why? There is this so-called AIDA principle, which means you need to raise attention and interest. And when they then hear your name and then they afterwards see your application, they somehow make the connection and say, aha, this was the lady with the clever question. So you already have a chance that they interview you. And I have tons of examples that this really can work. And the other thing is, try to ask to find people in your network who know the company and who might have someone who works in the area where you apply for. This is always a good, that really gives you the foot in the door, I would say.
One follow-up question, Martina, to this. What if it says that they are looking for German language skills and you have like A2 or B1 or some of the German, but everything else you fit to the to the application? Would you recommend to send? And if, how about if it's in English, your CV and your motivation letter?
Yeah, honestly, this is a question. There is no classical answer to it because it depends on the company. Sometimes the companies really, they specifically need a German speaker because the whole environment is not able to cope in English, and maybe all the documentation, etc., is in German. Sometimes it's something they would love to have, but it's not necessary. So this could also be a question you ask over the phone.
That's a good point. That's a really good
And
point.
if you cannot reach anyone, I would say just send your application the way how you send it, and then you will see later on. But because I think that nowadays many bigger corporations are really international.
So now we had the where to find a job, we had the interview, and now we are lucky that the company says we want you as part of our team. So they send us a contract. And in my case as well, 7 years ago, that contract is in German language. My German language back then was B1, and it's written in a not the German language that we learn in school, but with a lot of laws in behind, a lot of regulations and guidelines and so on and so forth. So how do I know if I'm earning my worth, or where do I look if I don't know, if I don't have any contacts or I don't know anyone in my network to help me with that?
Two things for this. The first thing is you can try to call the Arbeiterkammer in Austria. You know, this is the association of employees representing employees. They are very helpful. You can send them the contract. Of course, you have to the name, etc. But send them the contract. Ask them whether the conditions are fine, because they would immediately see when something is wrong. And the second thing is, when it comes to your salary, you can Google. Everyone nowadays can Google and check glassdoor.com or Karriere.at, etc. There are many websites nowadays, and you just put in the job level and the job you will have, and then you get a reference pay. Because I think it's really important to know whether you are paid below your market value or not. And being a foreigner, one never knows. Normally, I think companies nowadays, they are really all big players. They really pay the market value. And they are not even allowed to pay below a certain threshold, because that is legally forbidden. And they would really be fined if this comes out. So one can more or less rely on being paid okay. But being paid okay is one thing, but being paid well is another story. So make sure you really find out about your market value through a really, how would I say, profound research you do on the internet, or you ask for help.
Thank you, Martina. So you have spent most of your working life, so business life, in a corporate world. You work for large corporations, as you mentioned at the beginning, and now you have started not one, but two companies. So how does it feel to be your own boss and start your own company here in Austria? In pension, so if I may say, you are one of my role models, people who are just like, inspiration after inspiration.
Oh, thanks so much, Adela. I think it's great to work with you. But whenever we meet, it's inspirational, probably for both sides. And so, why do I like to be an entrepreneur? Honestly, I have loved my corporate career. I was always passionate about it, but I also always wanted to have my own company. And then when I was looking at my experience, and by the way, with the help of my network, and you were part of it, um, I found out that there is a real need in the market to help people earn their worth and get the salary, the career and salary they deserve. And then I just connected the dots, as Steve Jobs was saying once at in his speech, and I founded these companies. And here I am, hoping to help you get your worth.
You definitely did help in my case, and I'm so happy that you started this initiative. So you started your own company, because we have, for me at least, it's about removing this stigma about generally talking about salary. You know, just it was for me, I knew that I have to, when I was in my previous roles, I want to do something, but I was like, kind of, who should I talk to? There this initiative, that initiative, but I cannot go in the company to ask the HR. So it was always something in between and something left for later. So now with your service, there is a place where you can go and talk and really have someone to support you and empower you along the way.
Super, thanks.
So you said earn your worth. And so how can women and men as well earn their worth? So what would be your tips?
I think that to remember it well, there are 4 values you have to consider. The first is your self-value. If you do not feel well, and if you have a bad day, don't ask for a salary increase, because then you will just not have the right power and drive to convince people. And I think, first of all, to get a stronger self-value, you need to just simply, you don't need to brag. Don't brag. I hate bragging. And it's not convincing anyhow. Just rely on what you're good at. Ask your colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Think about every day, what is it I did well today? Note it down, and you will see already after 3 weeks, you will feel different, because you get a much more realistic view of what you're doing. And the second thing is market value. As we said before, it's very important to Google your market value, because every job and every job level, has a specific market value. And the market value varies from country to country, because for the same job and the same level, you are paid differently, for example, in Austria than in Great Britain. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because the cost of living is so different. And it also varies from company to company.
Yeah.
Small boutique companies might pay more because they do not have the big name.
Yeah.
But small companies who are not boutique, but just simply small, they pay normally less than a big corporation. So all these things need to be taken into consideration. But you always, when you Google, well, and when you talk to your network, you will find out what the market value of your position is. So these self-value, market value. The third is very important, added value. When you do not create an added value to your employer, whether it's the future employer or the current employer, why should this employer pay you more than what you have now? You will never get paid more simply for the fact of working like a slave. No. You get paid more when you add additional value to the company. And this can be more quality, higher quality, lower cost, more sales, bigger profit, whatsoever. It depends on your position, or a better customer service, better customer experience, whatever you bring in addition to your normal job task. This can be the first step of getting a salary increase. Or when you move along the career ladder and you have a higher responsibility and a higher impact in the company, then normally in 95% of the cases, this should be combined with a higher salary. Because then your market value increases.
Follow-up question to this, Martina, as we discussed just before this interview. What if I'm, for instance, in a position for 3, 4, 5 years, and I never asked for a salary interview or having this talk with my supervisor. I accepted the terms they had every year, you know, this 1% or 1.5% increase. So where do I go from there? So how do I really, you know, position myself? Any tips?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say, there is a nice proverb which says, people who are not demanding anything are taken by their word. They are not getting anything. So be aware, you have to be active. And what can I do? Fix an appointment with your superior and then tell the person that you want to talk about your development in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And then make sure it's 1 hour so that he does or she does not just run in and out of another meeting and squeezes you in between. Doesn't work. Then really realistically, before you go there, you have to prepare well. This means you need to know your current figures. What are you earning in gross? Because sometimes people only know what they have, what monthly net they have. But this is really not relevant for an employer. They think in yearly gross salaries. So know your figures, know what you are ready to invest. Because let's assume, I've seen these cases.
Mm-hmm.
The boss says, yeah, it's time to promote you to the next level. You're right. And then you say, but I don't want to have a higher responsibility. So please be aware before you go there what you really want. And then think about what were the added values you brought to the company. So note them down so that in the moment of stress, you can even go to your list and read them out in case you cannot remember because you're so under stress. That can happen. And then always think of a win-win situation. This means the more you place the common interests of your boss and yourself into the forefront, the more likely it is that you are going to get what you need. Because at the end, your boss wants the same as you do. He wants to have super motivated people to helping him achieve the common company goal. So it's not so difficult as you think. Yeah, but you have to get started and ask.
It reminds me of that book that you and I know, Getting to Yes. So he tells about this option A, B, C. So not to go blindly with like, just, I want, I don't know, 7.5% salary increase and that's it. And when the boss says no,
Yeah. Bring me to the next point. Don't be too specific, be flexible. For example, in this case, give a salary range, an increased range, and not a specific, but I want 500 euros a month, whatever. And then the other thing is, I always say, make sure you have SMART goals, you know, these classical, specific, measurable, attainable, etc., and realistic also. And the other thing is, salary or career negotiations are a process. Very often when you are within a company, it's not that your boss listens to you and says, yippee, I was waiting for this, we go ahead immediately. No, normally your boss might just say, you know, it's a difficult moment, it's COVID times, we have to think about it, I'm not sure whether HR allows me to do anything. Don't get frustrated. Don't think, it's because of me. No, just say, okay, of course I understand. So please, let's fix the next meeting. What do you think? Probably it's best to bring HR on board as well. And maybe should we involve your boss as well? So make sure you drive the process. And it might be, it takes a year. But if after a year you are promoted big time, then it was worthwhile doing this whole process. And you learn tremendously because you learn to drive difficult negotiations, which is relevant for whatever you do in life and even for your partnership. So get going, get started.
Only with you, Martina, salary negotiations talk can be fun. So we have been, talking, and it's possible for me to laugh together with you because I used some of your services, and you helped me to get where I want to be, so I can, go with a big smile to the office and focus on really advancing my career and serving my customers.
Thank you, Mila. It's very kind, but it was easy with you. You're a role model anyhow, in whatever you do. So,
But I as well had struggles, Martina, with this, saying it out loud. One thing is like you have the whole process in your head, and you just think, okay, I go there and I tell them this is what I want, and they will accept it. And in some of the cases, it was as well to test me. For me, my supervisor were testing me, not giving a way right away. Okay, this is what you want.
it's a good point.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yes, it shows leadership when you calmly just go on and don't get emotional. Just simply think ahead that this might happen. And then when the person does not immediately react the way you want, you're not surprised. You just calmly drive the process further.
Mm. And the follow-ups you mentioned yourself are so crucial, and fixing the right appointment just specifically for this topic, because it used to happen to me that they would squeeze me in between because the schedule is so busy, and then you really don't. They're nervous, you're nervous, and it just doesn't help the whole process.
No, it does not work. Or employees running behind you.
Yeah.
Saying, by the way, I want more salary. And then you are just on your way to another meeting. I mean, how can your boss react adequately? Cannot. So
Sounds familiar. Martina, we talked so much about this topic, and I know that on your website and on your page, on your LinkedIn pages, on your Facebook page, there's so many materials for our viewers to go and have a look and get in touch with you as well. Anything else that we have missed during this interview that you would like to remind our viewers?
no, I think I just want to tell them, don't think you need to change. Enjoy the way you are. Simply prepare. That's often in life, it's not about changing. It's about staying the way we are and preparing the next steps.
Mm.
And then also, I think this probably is one of your favorite topics, and getting the support of your network, because this is really fantastic to find out your market value, to increase your self-worth, to maybe find the next job. Because whom would you give a job? To someone you don't know, or to someone you know and you trust? So a network, in my opinion, is really valuable.
Definitely. So you and I know some people from our VO Executive Academy network who after months and months looking for a job actually landed a job through the network, just because they really had, they had this company in mind, and through the network, they were looking for people who could, put their CV in front.
Absolutely.
And everything else was like, going through the application processes, and there was always something missing, or, we'll come back to you in 3 weeks or 3 months, and so on.
Yeah, because if you know someone from your network whom you really think super competent and nice in addition, because you always need both sides of the medal, then why would you not propose such a person to your boss? Because bringing on board talents is good for all sides. You look good if you bring a real talent to the company, and the company is super happy. Many companies nowadays, they have so-called ambassador programs, where they even encourage people to go out and find new talent and bring them on board.
I think we had as well some gifts back then. That was like 5 years ago when I started. So if you bring an employee on board and she stays for a month, so this probe period, then you get some gift from the company, so your money or some vouchers. And
incentivized. Absolutely, you're right. Yeah, because the war of talent, I mean, I can't hear this word anymore, but it's still relevant, and it gets more and more relevant nowadays with all the new capabilities people are needing.
So Martina, you mentioned the network, and before we wrap up, so how do you network? Where do you network? I know that you're a super networker, and I know everybody loves to work with you, so that I spoke. Oh. So how do you do that?
Honestly, I started more or less 10 years ago, because in my position as managing director for this international service company, I was every month, every week, I was in another country. So I had, and I had moved to Austria only in 98, I think, at the time. And then immediately I was working for this international service company, and I had zero time in Austria.
Mhm.
I was always like from Tuesday to Thursday, I was abroad. And then I was like just simply tired and wanted to spend my time with my husband and with a few friends. And so I was not networking. And then finally, when I changed job, I thought like, I know no one. I really know no one. This cannot go on like this. And I started slowly to network because I was not sure. I thought like, I'm not this networking type. I don't want to stand there and exchange business cards. I hate this. And I don't want to talk to people, just blah, blah. But then when I was attending the first 2 or 3 events, I immediately found out there are so many like-minded people who hate as much as I do exchanging business cards. All of them really wanted to have good conversation. And the first thing we do when you start networking, you try to find a person from maybe who has the same professional interests,
Mm.
which is easy when you go, let's say you're an IT girl,
Yeah.
so go to the IT related networks, and then immediately you find people with whom you click and connect. And for me it was the same. I was in HR, so I went to the HR circles, and it was great because I got so many inspiring ideas which helped me in my job. I found people whom I took on board because they fit to our employees, and they fit into our team. So honestly, this is how I got started. And what I like so much and what I find out is once you get started, you find so many people who know this one and this one knows that one. And then the network interweaves slowly and becomes a strong network. You
Yes.
know, where through all the connections, you really gain kind of a professional advantage in the market.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
know you and people recognize you for the real, real worth, real values. So what you can contribute. Definitely worth of it, investing time. So networking is investment for sure of your time and resources. But as you well said, it pays off in many ways that you at the moment cannot imagine, but they, these reaping effects, they're all over.
And honestly, you are such a fantastic example when it comes to networking virtually. And at the beginning, I was this classical networker. I was a bit skeptical,
Yeah.
but then due to COVID, I just started. And honestly, it's as wonderful as live
Yeah.
networking. I do not find any difference. I've met great people virtually, and I'm sure we will meet in person
Yeah.
once. But I have already the feeling that we know each other as if we had met in person, because looking at you in Zoom, whether you sit next to me in a cafe or here, I do not find such a difference.
For me as well. So of course I miss, seeing people and meeting people. But last year when all this with Corona happened, I said, there's no point in waiting. There's no point in waiting that, when the next conference, next event, and so on and so forth, because it can take a long time. And there are different tools that we can use. And as you said, I think nowadays people are even more open. At least my experience, like let's have a Zoom. It's like normal, let's have a Zoom or let's have a coffee or a chat or WhatsApp and so on. People are just like on board. Previously it was always like this, let's fix that appointment face to face, let's go for lunch, and then it could be like for 3 months that you're trying to fix this appointment because we want to see face to face, no online. So I think it's
Yeah,
online.
sometimes easier. You are fully right.
You don't
Exactly.
have to wait for months to get in the schedule. Martina, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you for the book that you read, or the book that you can recommend regarding the salary negotiation, career development, something that might help our viewers.
Honestly, there are so many books outside, but one which struck me especially was a mindset from Carol Dweck, because she talks about the difference between growth and fixed mindset. And the growth mindset is that means people do not know everything, but whenever they come across a real challenge, it's not that they say, no, this one I have to exclude because I can't do that. They look at the challenge and they say, aha, interesting, I am not there yet. So they have this, instead of saying these things I know and these things I don't know, like black and white, they don't think black and white. They say not yet, meaning they will put effort into the thing, and they want, if they really want this goal, they will reach out and eventually they get there. And I really like that.
I like the as well the presentation that Natalie Kare, so our mutual contact, and as well from the VW Executive Academy, did on the growth mindset. It was a really inspiring conversation for me. And I think, was it the Pippi Langstrom who said, she says, I haven't tried this before, so I might be good at it, or something like along those lines.
When she talked about the habits.
Yeah.
How to overcome bad habits. Yes, I don't remember exactly either, but she mentioned Pippi Langstrom. Anyhow, it's like having fun to explore new facets in your personality. This is about growth mindset, and this I really enjoy.
Thank you, Martina. I will definitely link the book title in our comment section, and as well your personal contacts, your LinkedIn contact, and your web page as well. So thank you so much for being our guest today. I really enjoyed about this topic. So you're the one who makes it with lots of fun and energy and love, even though it's a very stressful topic for most of us, not all of us, but most of us, especially at the beginning of our career. So thank you for joining us for our channel.
Thanks, Adela. It was really fun talking to you.
Thank you. And thank you.
Fantastic career.
Thank you, Martina, and thank you all for watching this video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe to our channel. Every week we bring new interesting guests. And if you know someone who would be a great fit for our channel, please let us know. Write me a comment in the comment section, or write me over LinkedIn. I would love to hear from you. And apart from that, have a great afternoon. Greetings from Vienna, and hope to see you all somewhere here in virtual coffee or in Vienna. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Earn your worth.
Earn your worth. Exactly.